pronounce Olde Heuvelt.
Olde Heuvelt.
It was
pretty close. You're pretty
yeah,
close.
pretty close.
Ele é Most Americans are much worse.
Yeah. It's great to hear this. Ele é o autor de Rex, né? Vocês vão ter visto a resenha aí no blog. E eu tô aqui na Darkside hoje para conhecer um pouquinho mais dele. So it's nice to meet you, Thomas.
Thank you for having me.
Very welcome to Brazil. Well, my first question is I read the book.
Yeah.
And in
you enjoy it?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, as I said to you, I'm a huge fan from Stephen King. So all the third movies or books I had to read to see and to feel the same essence from him. So in your book you have a curse about a witch, Catherine, right? Where when you were a child, you have afraid of witches?
Yeah, that's because of my uncle. Yeah.
Your uncle?
Yeah. He was I had the coolest uncle ever. It's sad he died 2 years ago, but he was my storyteller. I believe every child should grow up with a storyteller. It's so important in your upbringing and in your development as a human being. My uncle was my storyteller, and he told me really creepy bedtime stories. Like when I was 7 years old, he told me Bram Stoker's Dracula as a bedtime story.
And you like your
I loved it. Yeah, no, I mean, I was scared to death of it. I had nightmares, but at the same time, it was such fun to real. I mean, he told it like it's a series, so it would end with a cliffhanger before we had to go to bed. So we were like terrified, and I had nightmares. But it's the good kind of nightmares, you know. And I remember him telling me Roald Dahl's *The Witches*. I don't know if you know that book. It's a children's book author, Roald Dahl.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. *The Witches* is a story about a boy who gets trapped in this ballroom in a big hotel, full of witches, and they're plotting to destroy all children in the world. And these witches are hideous. They are bold and they have claws, so they wear wigs and they wear gloves. And there's this, I mean, it was turned into a movie as well with Angelica Houston playing the Grand High Witch, and there's a scene where she peels away her mask.
I remember the scene with the rats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this was pre-CGI, so no special effects, but there's a scene where she pulls away that face and this horrid witch's face comes underneath. And I was terrified by it.
I was very afraid of the movie.
Yeah. And my uncle, he told me that story, and then he would go further, like he would take me to the streets of Amsterdam, and it was winter because it's cold, and he would point to a woman sitting somewhere in the corner, and he would say like, "You see that woman over there? She's wearing gloves," you know? And without me doing anything.
And you run away from her.
Oh yeah, I was terrified of women for like a year. So
I wasn't using gloves or not here.
No, the opposite.
That's a great story.
I screamed my mom away for like half a year before that time. I mean, I was so terrified. I saw witches like in the hallway to my bedroom. I saw them everywhere. So I guess that kind of planted the seeds that I always wanted to write a book about, you know, my own evil witch.
So the inspiration about Catherine, you think that the responsible was your uncle?
I guess, I mean, I was very young then, so, but yeah, I guess he planted the seeds for it, but they developed later on in life, of course. I mean, I read many of Stephen King's novels. I've read, Stephen King wrote a short story, Grandma, about a witch. It's in Skeleton Crew, I think. I mean, I saw the Blair Witch Project, of course, when I was in my teens, like 15 or 16. And the scary thing about the Blair Witch Project is you never ever get to see the witch. It's pure suggestion, and I love that.
And the cameras.
Yeah, of course. It was the first found footage movie, one of the first at least found footage movies. And I wanted to do something completely different where I break my own rule, basically, because I always like books or films that use suggestion. So there's not a clear view of the monster right away, because that takes all the fright away. But in my book, she's there from page 1. But that's because she's not really the scary factor in the book. That's the deceiving part about it. She is frightening. She has her eyes stitched up, and she's obviously died 300 years ago, and she's still there, so there's something very wrong there. But it's the people who are the real evil factor in this story, and that's why I managed to write a scary book with showing her all the time, because she's not a scary factor.
Yeah, that's exactly what, when I read, I remember a phrase by Stephen King that they said that monsters are real, they are inside of us.
Yes.
So the real monsters are the humans, not the ghosts, right? So,
But the funny thing is that I say that, but then at the same time, she is a frightening image with her eyes stitched up and her mouth stitched up. It's done to her, of course. She didn't do that herself. But it's funny now. The book is out, I think, in like 26 countries, and people keep emailing me or messaging me from all over the world of that same universal fear triggered by this woman entering your bedroom, standing there at night at the end of your bed, staring at you behind her stitched up eyes. You know, she cannot see, but you know she's staring anyway. She sees you.
She's there.
Yeah, she's there. And that's what frightens people all over the world, apparently.
I think witches are very scary,
Yeah.
and if they are really dead, it's more scary.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Catherine is, and she stays inside of our residence, and then and we don't know why she's
Why
here.
she's there, what she's
Yeah.
thinking, what she's... You know, remember, the things we cannot see are always scary, like the girl in The Ring. You see The Ring, the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the long hair in front of her face. It's scary because she cannot see her face.
At the Ring, they have like a screen that kills, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that's like a
was
video occurs in the video.
Ah, okay, so yeah, this is
Yeah.
the other one. Here is called chamado.
Yeah.
O chamado,
Yeah.
because we had one also from Korea that is when they scream and the person dies.
Ah, okay.
It's very similar, it's very close
Yeah.
from the story, but the
Yeah.
other one,
Yeah, I love Asian horror.
Yeah,
it's
they
awesome.
see the VHS and they kill it in 7 days.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, when you don't get to see your face, and that's what's scary. And that's the same scary thing about Catherine here in this book. You don't actually see her eyes. You don't know what she wants. And that makes her frightening.
That's very, very scary. There is a map in your story,
Yeah.
and this is very. It's insane that we think that witches are very old.
It's a witch story with an app.
It's a story
Yeah.
with an app, and so you mix the technology with something very old that they scared of witches causing us. What came this idea? When you write, what was the inspiration to mix these things?
Well, the thing is, you just get practical. I mean, imagine if your own town...
3 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
Just noise.
Okay.
You can repeat.
Yeah. No, you get practical. Just imagine if your own town would be haunted by a supernatural presence nowadays. We'd all have an app on our phones where we can track her and we can report sightings. It's just a practical consequence of the situation that's happening in this story. That, I mean, YouTube is blocked in town, for instance. Facebook, Instagram is all blocked because of conservative town council that cannot have this secret leak out. It's just a part of the reality of nowadays of our own culture.
Yeah, you use the mobile all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
For all the things.
All these kids in town, they don't want to live with the perspective of having to live in this town forever, and they have to because this curse prevents them from leaving. If they do, the curse starts working on their heads and they kill themselves. So they cannot leave town, but they don't want to stay in a small town forever, and so they want to like make YouTube clips with her, put her online, and just to explore what she is and how they can solve this issue.
It's very hard to keep a secret nowadays.
Yeah, it is.
Because of the social medias, you're keeping and posting all the time,
Yeah.
and then keep a secret as a witch that could not be
So
discovered.
therefore, this town is very controlled by its town council, and internet is blocked like a Big Brother society, a very secret community, if you will. And I love actually the part so much from writing that with the secret control organization in town, the Hex Control Group, that hides the witch when she appears in public spaces. You know, they get really practical with, they build tomb sheds or shrubberies or anything.
I remember the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's very. They have something about the movies in your story.
Yeah.
You love movies.
Well, I was inspired a bit on The Cabin in the Woods.
Ah, okay.
That was so awesome. Yeah.
You are a fan of movies too.
Yes, definitely.
So you saw all the movies from Stephen King, for example.
Yeah, probably all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
And now your story will be released as a TV series.
Yes.
How it was to you? You're having some creation about the story. They are changing something. How it's gonna be? See your story being created as a TV show.
Well, first I thought, when I wrote the book, I thought it would be better as a movie, not as a TV show.
Oh,
But I came back from that because, I mean, there's so much to explore in this town. There's so many characters you can really use for the series, and they're all very lovable and weird characters, if you will. And I think like a 10-episode TV series would be perfect for this. That you have enough space to flesh it out and to explore everything and to make it funny, but also really dark and scary. I'd love for this TV series to be like a combination of that one. It has to have the rock and roll vibe of True Blood.
Oh, True Blood is
Yeah,
amazing.
it was amazing.
Yeah,
I love the soundtrack
Charmaine
of that.
Harris is incredible.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
just
yeah.
great.
But I love the soundtrack of that.
Yeah.
And then that with the darkness of Dark, the TV series.
Yeah, I saw
with the
too.
realness of
Yeah.
those people. And just the fun of Stranger Things. I love that.
Oh, Stranger Things.
Yeah, that would be a great
amazing.
combination if you can capture all that.
Yeah,
in
I
this
hope it
story.
be a huge success.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you for the
appreciate
interview, Thomas.
Thank you.
Gente, obrigada. Estive aqui com o Thomas. É isso. Obrigada, Darkside. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
Ok. Cortou? Cortou.